Hey, okay, so the next guy we have here is Miguel M. And he says, Eric, can you give me some advice? I'm ready to quit. I've been doing this for too long. It's not working. I'm ready to throw in the towel. So Miguel M. Eminem. So he wants to quit. So my advice to you would be go ahead and quit. What's wrong with that? Like, go get a job or, just do something else. Like, look, let me just put it this way. Only 7% of the United States of America owns their own business. That means 93% of people in the United States of America do not own their own business, and that's for a reason. Okay, that means most people have day jobs. So most people out there that have day jobs are milking a paycheck every 2 weeks. It gets direct deposited into their bank account, drip, 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 okay? They got really great insurance, they got 401k, they got time off and weekend and sick leave and all this kind of stuff, right? And it's security. They know that they just gotta wake up in the morning and show up and punch in the clock and do their thing and they get paid. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? I remember my mom used to tell me back in the 90s, she's like, I don't know why you wanna own your own business. Like, it's so stressful. I'd just rather have a job. And I'm like, well, I was born to do this, right? This is what I was created to do. I don't wanna sit in some cubicle and just count the clock. I wanna be somebody. I wanna do something with my life. I want to give it my best because life is just a mist and then it's gone, right? So to me, I look at it like I want more, right? And if you want more, you've got to become more. And so what I would tell you first is, well, if you want more, you've got to become more. So instead of quitting, why not give it your all, okay? But here's what I'm gonna say, and I learned this from Jim Rohn, I'm gonna tell it to you. You gotta work on yourself more than you work on your business. You gotta work on yourself more than you work on your business. And that's true. Like, you've got to become someone different in your mind in order to break through that. Okay. So like, for example, I used to like dip Copenhagen. It was a baseball thing. I played college baseball. And so I became addicted to Copenhagen, to nicotine. And it took everything I had to try to quit that. So I would take nicotine gum, right? So then I was addicted to nicotine gum. I didn't have Copenhagen anymore. I had nicotine gum that I was addicted to. So I remember being on skiing with my family. My son was real little and we were in Aspen, Colorado, and I was trying so hard to quit because he was just a baby. I think he was like 6 months old or something. Like, he was real young. Oh no, he was a year. He was a year old. We celebrated his year birthday. And I by having a baby, I wanted to quit, nicotine so badly, and it took everything I had. I just couldn't quit that thing. And so I remember being in Aspen, Colorado. And there's not like, I was used to go into like CVS or like the HEB here in Texas and get into nicotine gum. I ran out of it and I'm like, uh-oh, there's no grocery store like that or CVS in Aspen. I need to go find like, some pharmacy or somewhere. And like, I could not find, they were closed, of course, and I couldn't find the gum, and I'm like fiending for gum, right? So it's like, finally I found some of this podunk grocery store outside of town, got the gum, I was like all into it, right? So I was trying so hard to quit that, I couldn't do it. But what finally made me quit that is I read this guide that I purchased online, right? And it basically said that I had to change my identity, that I was like a junkie. As the junkie wasn't like, crack, I was no crackhead, but it's like nicotine. So it's like, you're like a junkie with nicotine. So I was like, wow, man, that like blew my mind because I didn't look at myself that way. Really, I looked at myself as like, I've got it going on. I'm making a lot of money. Got this nice family now and everything's great. But I had that nicotine addiction, right? So what I had to do is I had to change my identity. And that guide changed my life because I was like, yeah, I need to see myself as not being that person. I need to see myself as this other person. I need to talk like that person. I need to act like that person. I need to move like that person. I need to be that person. And I need to look at myself with disgust, not want to be that other kind of person, right? So it's an identity change. And so for me with that, it really helped me change my identity. And I went with it. And then so it also said change it up. So like I was doing nicotine gum. So I got the patch. I put the patch on my arm that was going to give me like a nicotine like release, like slow release or whatever. I didn't even need it. I was done. Like after a week, I was done. I didn't need the patch. I didn't need the gum. It was gone because I changed my identity. I also prayed and all that as well too. And God could really move mountains. So for me, it was done. It was over. And God helped me change my identity there, right? And there's been other things in my life that I used that identity shifting, changing thing to help me get in the direction I want to go. So I think like what I would tell you is, Miguel, I would say is you need to basically change your identity and see yourself as being more successful. So I remember also we went on another vacation, but we were driving because I always wanted to go to the west side of the United States. And so I wanted to go to the Grand Canyon and go to California and, you know, Las Vegas and all that, and see all that stuff. Sedona, Arizona, and Phoenix, and Scottsdale, and Lake Powell, and Lake Havasu, and the Painted Desert, and New Mexico. So we went on this long trip, okay? It was a road trip. And so I remember me and my wife were in the front seat. It was like late at night, I'm driving, and I was listening to some tapes, some CDs that I'd purchased, of course. And in that course, it was talking about how you should change your identity and actually see yourself as being a millionaire. And I was like, wow, because we weren't making $1 million per year at that time, right? We were a couple $100,000 at that time. So I was like, wow, you know, that's interesting. So I told my wife, let's do this exercise. So it was basically, go ahead and act like you're a millionaire right now. Just pretend. Just pretend that you're a millionaire and do what a millionaire would do. Act like a millionaire would act. Talk like a millionaire would talk. Think like a millionaire would think. What would a millionaire do in this situation? How would a millionaire react to this situation? And it changed my whole life. Like I looked at it completely different. So what we would do, and of course we're not gonna go blow a bunch of money, but we acted and moved and breathed and treated ourselves like we were millionaires, right? So when we go in to rent a hotel room, I treated the lady at the front desk differently than I would if I wouldn't have gone through those tapes and started acting like I was a millionaire. I had treated people differently. I acted different. I walked differently. I breathed different. I was different. That's a different identity. And I think for a lot of people, they need to change their identity to be worthy of someone that's worthy of receiving that money. Okay. So a lot of times we sabotage our success. We're afraid of success. We're afraid of failure. We fear ridicule. So we're afraid people are going to talk trash about us or make fun of us, or we're going to embarrass ourselves. We're afraid of what our friends and family are going to think about what it is that we are doing. That's fear of ridicule. And I'm going to tell you, like, your friends and family don't buy your stuff. Okay. So they're not going to put food on your table. So you're afraid of what they think. Well, they're not going to buy your stuff. Okay. So you got to be immune to ridicule, and that's hard to do, but it takes practice. And whenever you see yourself differently with a different identity, even if you're pretending, this different alter ego of yourself, I guess. And there's books written on that too. I remember reading about Beyonce, how she had a alter ego lady that she pretended to be when she was on stage, because she was this shy little choir girl, and so she would get real shy when she'd get on stage dancing and singing, but she wanted to do that and she wanted to perform, so she created this alter ego, and then she could do it. She could just let it fly, right? So that's an important psyche, right? As babies, and as we grow up as toddlers and all that, we emulate people. Just like as a dad, I know that my kids are going to learn more from what's caught, not taught. So whatever I'm doing, how I'm living my life is going to impact them the way they live their lives. But if I preach and tell them what to do, then they could be a little bit defensive. So it's more what's caught, not what's taught. So ultimately, changing your identity and seeing yourself as more and acting as if and going in that direction is going to help you become immune to ridicule, help you with the imposter syndrome, and allow you to receive this money, because so many of us will sabotage that money and not allow ourselves to receive it because of how we grew up as children. So if you emulate yourself as this better version of yourself, or emulate someone else who's already at that level that you want to be at, like I've ran into people who, when they were starting their careers, you know, they wanted to do public speaking and all that. And they wanted to be like a personal development guru. And I was just blown away how they all sounded like Tony Robbins. I was like, man, that guy sounds so much like Tony Robbins, like his mannerisms, the way he looks off, the way he talks. Like he really emulates, like he could do an impression of Tony Robbins and nail it, right? And this has been multiple people that I've come across in my life. So that's an example of them emulating someone that they deeply admire, and he's a great guy, right, to admire him. So ultimately, that's where I would start, is like recreating your identity and how you feel about yourself. and be somebody who's like, be somebody who is worthy of receiving that extra income and making that extra money, as opposed to sabotaging it. Don't shame yourself, and don't let other people shame you. You should know what it is that you want and go get it, okay? And because life is short. I mean, life is short. Just like that, you're gone, all right? So focus on yourself, bring your identity up, raise your identity level, see yourself as someone different and not that old version of yourself. Create a new chapter for yourself, okay? A rebirth, right? Reborn, okay? So you want to do that as a foundation to move into a higher income level. So ultimately you want to do that for money, you want to do that for income, and then so as far as what else could I tell you about quitting? I mean, you know, like I said, again, like 93% of people don't own their own business for a reason, and that's because it's hard. And I think that, like, if you take a look at most entrepreneurs out there, if they're being honest with you and transparent and very authentic, they're going to tell you they want to quit like all the time, okay? Like maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I want to quit, right? It's like, man, it should be a lot easier to just go get a day job. I remember talking to one of my high school buddies who went on and made a bunch of money online too in his own business, and loved the guy. And I was talking to him, and you know, one time, and I was like, hey, you know, on the side I get to coach my son and coach baseball, varsity baseball. He's done now, he just graduated, but for a couple of years there I was able to coach him at the high school level, which was always a dream for me. And then he said, you know, if I would look back, man, maybe I should have just been a coach too and not tried to become a successful millionaire or whatever, because I hear him saying that, and I'm like, I know where you're coming from. We all go through that as entrepreneurs because it's not easy, and it ebbs and flows. There's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, there's different seasons you're going to find yourself in. And so, I mean, I think about every 3 to 5 years, I have to recreate myself. I have to totally reinvent myself every 3 to 5 years, because what worked 3 to 5 years ago doesn't work anymore. So you're constantly moving. In this life, you will have trouble. So you got to continue to adapt and pivot and reinvent yourself and grow, and on and on and on and on, because it's just not always going to stay stagnant for you. Okay, so that's another piece of advice for you, is just to understand that, right? We all go through wanting to quit. So lastly, what I'll tell you, most of the people that I've coached that weren't making any money, that wanted to quit, and they showed up on my desk and they're like, you're my last chance, right? If I don't make it, I'm done. I'm giving you this money. Like, Eric, that's it. This is my last chance. I'm all in on you. Help me make money. I'll do anything you tell me to do, and I'll do it. So here's what I've noticed with people. They're all over the place, okay? They're scatterbrained. They're doing a lot of different things. They're like a chicken running around with his head cut off. They're going a mile wide and an inch deep instead of a mile deep and an inch wide. They're not focused, okay? So you need to focus on your focus. You need one problem to solve, one solution, and one niche market. So if you're going to go after plumbers and help them with Google reviews, and you have a Google review service and you've put all your focus into that, you're going to break through and make a lot of money. If you're like, on Monday you're a blogger, on Tuesday you're going to be an Instagram diva, on Wednesday you're going to be a TikToker, on Thursday you're going to have your own YouTube channel, on Friday you're going to write Amazon books, on Saturday you're going to sell widgets on Amazon. I mean, if every day you're shifting around, jumping around based on what email you just read or what video you're watching, then you're never going to break through, and you're going to end up quitting eventually, because you got to pick one problem to solve. One problem, one solution, one niche market. Okay, so you got one problem, you're going after plumbers. One solution, you're helping them with Google reviews. And one niche market, which is plumbers. One problem, one solution, one niche market. So you got it. So that's what you want to do. If you're all over the place, you ain't gonna ever get anywhere. You're like an octopus on roller skates, right? Whole lot of action and activity, but you're not getting anywhere. You're just spinning your wheels in the same place. One problem, one solution, one niche market. That's what you need, okay? So less is more. It's very counterproductive. Like if you went, like let's say you wanted to help people with YouTube. That's a loud boat. Let's say you wanted to help people with YouTube marketing, and you went out there and you focused on YouTube marketing for like the next month. You're going to know more about YouTube marketing than 99.9% of the entire planet knows about YouTube marketing, just in 1 month, by being hyper focused on that one thing. You see what I mean? So today you're targeting plumbers, and you don't got any plumbers, But you're adding them on Instagram, and you set up a page on Instagram, and you set up a Facebook page and a LinkedIn, and you got a Twitter, and you got a TikToker, and you got all this stuff focused on plumbers. And then you're helping them with Google reviews. So all your material, all your marketing materials, all your content, everything is focused on Google reviews. And then you run ads, or you're adding plumbers on LinkedIn. You're doing all this stuff to focus on plumbers, right? Eventually what's going to happen, and you're helping them with their YouTube marketing. I forgot what I was saying. You're helping them with YouTube marketing. So in a month from now, you're going to know more about how to help plumbers on YouTube than plumbers will ever know in their entire existence. That makes you an expert very fast, and you can help move the needle for them, and you can provide them with a solution. So you can make more in 1 month and be an expert in 1 month with specialized knowledge and specialized skills. That's where the money's paid. Skills pay the bills, okay? So you got to acquire those skills. You got to acquire that wisdom and that knowledge, and you just got to go for it. Okay, last thing. Courage. Courage. You need courage. If you're scaredy cat, you're going to run for the hills with your tail between your legs, the first sign of adversity. The first sign of adversity, the first obstacle that shows up, you're going to switch niches. You're going to switch opportunities. You're going to switch gurus. You're going to find someone else to follow. You're moving. It's a moving parade, right? It's a moving parade. And you're not going to get anywhere. You're an octopus on roller skates, spinning your wheels, getting nowhere. Okay, fast. You need courage. You need bravery. You need faith. Capital F, faith. You need faith. Faith in God. Faith that you're going to take one step, and He's going to show you what's next. You're going to take another step, and He's going to show you the next thing. And you're going to take another step, and He's going to show you the next thing. Move forward like that with faith, okay? You got to jump off the cliff and expect the net to show up. You dive off the cliff and sprout wings on the way down, okay? You got to have courage to do anything in business. You got to jump off the diving board, right? Before, like you take little kids, they're scared to death to jump off the high dive. But once they do it, they can't wait to get back up the ladder and do it again and again and again, right? That first dive is terrifying though. Then when you realize you could do it, everything changes. You got to go get that first customer no matter what. Once you get that first customer paying you money, then you know there's a lot more where that came from. If you could sell a plumber on running YouTube for that plumber, then you can, and then you got that one customer that paid you money, then you know you could go get 50, 100, 200 more plumbers to do the exact same thing. So you got to get specialized knowledge. You got to focus in on one thing, one problem, one solution, one niche market, and you want to have courage to get through that time. And just understand, hey, if you want to quit like once a week, welcome to the club, okay? You are now officially an entrepreneur. Welcome to the club. I got a badge for you, put it right here. It says, I want to quit every freaking week. That's how we all are. I mean, in this life, we will have trouble. Keep on going, keep on trucking through it. Or you can just quit. I mean, it's up to you.